was a little tough. I had to hold my breath.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time I'm kind of holding my breath, trying not to gag.
Okay.
Even though it was pretty foul in that bathroom,
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'm actually happy now about, how our plumbing is these days.
Sure. Well, in fact, I feel like during the dark ages, didn't they just use a bucket and then throw it out the window?
Yeah.
I mean, just walking down the streets.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. So the other day, I had to do some grocery shopping, and I went to the store, and I was by myself at this point. No one else with me. I had a decent amount of stuff to get, so I was prepared. I got my shopping cart, and I was like, I'm just gonna bust through this, because very rarely can I like get some grocery shopping done in a good time frame. But I was like, I don't want to mess around. I just want to get this done. So I got my shopping cart. I pulled up my list, and I was like, okay, wait, before I do this, let me just go to the bathroom. Not like it's, a marathon or whatever. But
in the grocery store.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I had to pee. So I'm going to just get that out the way. Then I'm going to do my shopping, check out, and head home. So I go to the bathroom there, and I get in there, and someone is in there, and man, it is a disaster. Like,
it's rank.
Yeah, it is rank.
Okay.
Somebody is going to war.
Okay.
Okay.
I wonder where you're going with this, but okay.
So, and I'm like, oh man, this is, I just had to pee. I got to get out the way. So, it was, it was a little tough. I had to hold my breath.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time I'm kind of holding my breath, trying not to gag. So I pee, I wash my hands, I get out there, I go grab my car, and I'm just like, I'm happy I'm done. I breathe some fresh air, and then as I'm, starting my shopping, I'm like, start to think about it, and I'm like, man, even though it was pretty foul in that bathroom,
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'm actually happy now about, how our plumbing is these days.
Sure.
I don't know what just made that pop into my head, but I was like, it could be so much worse.
I mean, even in a bathroom like that, like in a home bathroom, there's probably like a fan or whatever running that you can hear, but there's probably some ventilation so it doesn't stink to high. It could have been worse is where you're going. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. So on my way, just, as I walked away from the bathroom and started my shopping, I just started thinking like, I probably don't appreciate modern plumbing as much as I should, because I've never done like a lot of research into it, but it probably was pretty foul. And
what, back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
So actually what I did was since then, I've done just a little bit of research, just, for myself and some things that I wanted to ask you about.
Sure.
As far as like modern plumbing, just talk about it real quick.
Okay.
So first thing, first, I mean, I don't want to get too gross and just,
Sure.
But have you had to deal with that going to like a public restroom and it's like,
Sure.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say, the worst is, have you ever been camping? Or been at least used like one of those pit toilets at a campsite or a state park?
No. Look, when I went camping, it was like porta potties.
Okay.
But,
I've been like music festivals where they have porta potties, and they are just not keeping up with it, and it is gross. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so we deal with some of that, but okay. So here's what I found. I'm gonna go over a couple things. Okay. So the first thing is, so this happened in 1596. So this is way back.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'm just gonna start way back. But all right. So and I wanted to talk about the term the John.
Okay.
Because I've never used. Well, I've heard people say that, and I've said that, jokingly amongst people.
I'm going to the John.
Yeah. Okay. So So in 1596, there was a gentleman named Sir John Harrington,
Right.
and he was the godson of Queen Elizabeth I.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Okay,
I
and
knew that there was a guy named John. That's
yeah,
why we said that.
yeah, and he was like a writer and a poet, and he was kind of known for telling like risque stories of that time. So he would do translations or interpretations of stories to the court, and they would be laughing. It would be hilarious. Well, he had a translation. I can't remember the name of this poem, but it was a pretty popular and famous poem at the time.
Okay.
And Queen Elizabeth I did not appreciate his interpretation, so she banished him from the court.
Was it bathroom related?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
But hold on. So she banished him from the court, and his punishment was to correctly translate this poem, and he was not welcomed back to the court until he did that. So in this time frame, he was working on that. While in the meantime, she thought that was too harsh of a punishment, so she was gonna like rescind his punishment. But he actually finished the interpretation before she could do that, and she went to go visit him at his home, and found that he had a like working toilet. So he's technically the first inventor of the like flushable toilet.
This isn't even something he purchased. This is something he just made
yes, he just
himself.
made, yes,
Okay.
yes. So
And she was the queen, and she was like, "Why don't I have one
exactly,
of those?" Okay,
exactly.
yeah.
So she had him build one, and then people that came to see it referred to it as the John.
Like it's a tourist stop.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, nice.
So, so the only thing about it is it didn't have like what we know now as like an S bend or something like that to prevent the odor, but it was still like a flushable or a toilet, better to use. So I found that pretty interesting. I don't know if we in America got that term, the John, but because I know that there was
Probably.
yeah, I know that there's been a lot.
And this was an Englishman.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So
Well, wait a second. Can I ask? And I hope I'm not stepping on what you're about to say, but
No.
do you know why some people call it the crapper?
no, I don't.
Okay. There was another Englishman, and he was a plumber,
Okay.
and his name was Thomas Crapper,
Oh,
and he he founded the Thomas Crapper and Co. company in London, and they sold plumbing equipment, including the toilet.
oh, interesting.
And it used to be the tank of the toilet wasn't like our toilets are like, it's like a, there's the seat area and then there's the tank right on top of it. But old English toilets used to have the tank up on the wall. And on the front of that tank, it said Thomas Crapper and Co. because he's advertising his company, you know. And when you're standing there, that's the thing right in your face. So people started calling it the Crapper.
Nice.
Now, you were talking about John. I feel like John got off light because they just called the toilet the John.
Yeah.
But Thomas Crapper, they started calling the Crapper the Crapper.
Yeah.
And then they also call it crap,
Yeah.
which really kind of took his name to a whole new low.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If he, I wonder if he anticipated any of that.
No, I think it happened after he gained popularity, and then what are you going to do about it then?
Yeah. Okay. So actually that's funny because that was something else that I was going to ask you about too. So do you use any of those terms when you have to use the bathroom?
I mean, I think I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But no, normally I just refer to it as the toilet.
Oh, okay. Or do you say like what you have to do? So if you go, you're like,
you know what? Sometimes I do say, hey, I got to go take a crap. Yeah. Not, and then I'll let you call me out on it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So tell me if you would begin to use any of these terms. So before I get into this list, I don't know. I guess to some friends and things, I think my go-to is dropping the deuce.
Okay.
I don't know. I like to use that one, but I got a list here. So maybe you can start using different language. See if any of these fit you.
Okay.
All right. So tell me what you think about bake a loaf. No?
No.
Bomb the bowl.
That's a little better.
Yeah. Cook a butt burrito.
No, because I like burritos. I don't want to taint that word.
Okay. Some of them are pretty funny. Dump a stump.
I've never heard that one.
Do the royal squats.
I have heard that one.
Curl some pipe. That one.
I thought it was coil some pipe.
Oh, this one's curl, but coil. Yeah, that's
No, I've heard the coiling.
that's funny.
I like how you say you don't want to be gross, and then you come out with these.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you some names that I've got for these.
Listen. Sometimes we have to change up our language a little bit and make it a little bit more colorful, and this will help.
I've heard taking the Browns to town.
Oh yeah.
Going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So what's funny, man? This is a little bit off topic, but okay. So the Browns football team. I know you don't usually follow too much ball sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, during when the Browns were in their rebuilding, this was just recently in recent a couple years ago. The commentators and announcers started saying that like the Browns are going to the Super Bowl, and nobody picked up on that. But every time I heard that, I started cracking up.
This has to be like 20 years ago now, but I used to work with this guy. He was a trader, and we would always talk about things we would overhear him say on the phone. And I heard him end phone calls a couple times like this. He would say, "I've got a Duke. I'm touching cloth. I'll talk to you later." And we were all just like, "What? Are you saying that to a customer?" Like, dude. Everybody loved him.
Okay. Just a few more. Poke the turtle's head out.
Yep.
Yeah. Prairie dogging.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Squeeze the cheese.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Oh my goodness, there's so many. Like I didn't realize that there were this much. There's this much terms to just relieving yourself. Let's see. Plant a tree. I don't know what that has to do with it. Murder a brown snake.
Jeez. How many more of these you got?
That's good.
Okay,
I'm good. Okay. So getting back to it. I didn't see what year this was, but actually so Alexander Cumming was the first person to kind of invent the S curve or toilet with like a S curve to prevent the odor from coming up.
Oh, sure.
So that's huge.
Sort of like in a sink. What do we have? We have the P trap.
Yep, the P trap. Right.
Yep.
Right. And yeah. So thinking about all that, I don't know. I just have a deeper appreciation for our plumbing these days. I mean, like, it just has. I don't know. I don't think as many times as I've used a bathroom in my life, I don't think that I've ever been more appreciative and realized it since I started to, since I had that one experience going grocery shopping. So that's kind of what prompted all this.
It's always the little things that make us think.
Yeah. Okay. So are you familiar with the ancient Egyptians and their contributions to plumbing systems and all
No,
that?
I'm a little familiar with like the Romans.
Okay, right.
With the aqueducts and the sewer systems and things.
So they kind of perfected everything. It was more so the ancient Egyptians who kind of started it, but
okay.
It was more improved by the Romans. So there are two images I wanted to kind of show you.
Okay, and this is of ancient Egyptian plumbing?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They all sat on a bench next
Yeah.
to each other.
Yeah. So no partitions, no walls. Yeah, and that's kind of your bathroom there. Your public restroom.
I have seen things like this before, yeah. I think the Romans did something similar, didn't they?
Well, this is the Romans. This is
okay.
Yeah. So I just can't imagine. Like I don't know. I mean,
Wait, I thought you were showing me something about the ancient Egyptians.
oh no. I was going to show you the Romans.
Okay.
And then I wanted to also show you this. Oh, 1 second here. Because I would not be, obviously, maybe back then you didn't realize, there was nothing really to compare it to.
Sure.
I mean, maybe besides going to your own home, but this was standard back then.
But I don't think a lot of places had plumbing in their home. It was like a communal thing.
Yeah. So even in the middle of the night, you got to get up and go out here.
Yeah.
And
Sucks.
Yeah. So, okay. And then, so to kind of clean themselves, I have to show you this as well.
Oh, it's a sponge on a stick,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're
but
familiar with
it's
this.
a real sponge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Out of the ocean.
Yeah. So it's not very comfortable.
And I don't think they were personalized.
No.
I think it was a community sponge on a stick. Yeah. That's gross.
Yeah. We should go back to this.
No, that's terrible.
Because they had an idea. They would, like they had a bowl with water and vinegar and salt to kind of cleanse it out.
Oh, they actually used vinegar and salt. Okay.
Yeah. So they would, had that, but it had to go to everyone. Everybody had to use this. So one person gets done and they clean it up, and then next person has to do that.
And what year was this? Was this like 500 BC, 1000 BC?
This was, that's a great question because I did not see that in there. But yeah, and I don't know how long this lasted. I know that the Chinese were kind of the first to invent like paper or using paper in the bathroom, using toilet
were they?
paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that they invented paper, but
Yeah.
it was originally made out of rice or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rice paper?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's, I had no idea this. Like I said, I didn't. I think I took this portion for granted when I was learning history, and didn't even think twice. And it's hard to listen to and hard to, because you just don't think about it. Like people having to go on the side of the road, or just wherever. Like it was just.
In fact, I feel like during the Dark Ages, didn't they just use a bucket and then throw it out the window?
Yeah.
I mean, just walking down the streets.
Yeah. And nowadays we have so when I lived in Florida, I went to this parade of homes, right? Mm-hmm. And I go visit this house, and they have a heated seat in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
And I found that so strange because, for one, how long do you prepare to be in the bathroom that you need a heated seat?
Well, I mean, I think the deal is like, if it's a cold morning or something, if it's winter out, and maybe your house is a little colder and the seat's a little cold, at least you don't have to endure that instant shock.
But when do you turn it on? Is it always on? Or is it, hey, I think I'm going to have to use the bathroom in a few minutes.
I think it heats up real quick.
Yeah. Because at the same time, I've, been on the toilet for, a good amount of time. It doesn't stay cold that long. It's
Sure.
I get the initial shock, but it almost seems like that's kind of a little bit too little pointless.
Now, have you seen some of the modern, I think they call them smart toilets? Mm-hmm. I've looked at these. I think it started in Japan, and now it's kind of a thing over here. They used to be super expensive. I don't think they're that bad right now. But definitely during the pandemic, when there was the toilet paper shortage, I really thought about it. And these things, at first I thought it was just like a toilet combined with a bidet, but it's actually much more than that. A lot of these, when you enter the room, there's a motion sensor. And so it will instantly start warming up the seat. It also has a fan that sucks in the air from the bathroom and then blows it into the like sewer pipes you would have in your house. And when you walk right up to the toilet, if you're walking up like facing it, it will automatically lift the lid, but will also lift the seat. Now, somehow it knows, or maybe you have to push a button, but it'll keep the seat down, and then you can just sit down and the seat's warm.
Yeah.
So then while you're going, all of the bad smells are being sucked away. The seat is warm. Oh, and I think the inside of it glows a color. So if you don't have to switch the light on at night,
Oh,
that blinds you, you can just do it in the dark.
Okay, that's helpful.
And then you push a button on the like on the control, and it will become a bidet, and it will wash you off. And then when you're done, you push a drying button, it'll dry you, and then you just get up. And when you get up, automatically closes the seat, flushes.
Nice.
Everything's taken care of. And I thought, there was a couple weeks there during the beginning of the pandemic when we were all in lockdown, and I went to 3 or 4 grocery stores, and only one had toilet paper, and it was some weirdo off-brand, and I really didn't want that, but the choices were no toilet paper or this. And so I bought that, and I just thought, man, if I had one of those smart toilets, I wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah.
Plus, it's got to feel better, it's got to feel like you just got out of the shower, because it just literally just washed you off.
Yeah. I used to, I guess gotta say, I used to crap on bidets.
Wait, what?
That was the term I was going to use to badmouth bidets.
Oh.
But
Okay. You used to think that they were no good or they were gross or something?
I was just like, whatever. But but thinking about it, recently, I would absolutely have a bidet.
Yeah. I mean, my nightmare scenario is I just took a shower, I'm all clean, and then I have to use the bathroom, and I think, but I just showered. It's terrible.
Yeah. So have you had to go overseas at all or leave the country, like visiting?
Yeah.
And other, and then.
Yeah. In fact, the only time I've really used a bidet was in London or England.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
London, England.
Okay. I haven't. When I was younger, I traveled with my family, but as an adult, I haven't traveled outside of the country.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't had to experience that yet. It's like using the restroom somewhere else.
You know what? It's weird is in Singapore. I had to go there for work years ago, and like the not the new kitchen faucet sprayer where it's like the faucet and the sprayer are all one, but the old school one from like the 80s where it had the separate little sprayer.
Yeah.
They have those beside the toilet.
Oh, okay.
And that's what you're supposed to use.
Oh.
But a lot of the places I went to in Singapore were used to travelers, so they also had toilet paper and stuff like that. But one of my friends lived there, and I was like, dude, what's up with the weird bidet thing on the side? And he was like, oh, you mean the shit sprayer? And I go, oh, no, come on, that can't be the name. And he goes, well, you're saying bidet. This is not France. And I was like, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I worked at a home improvement store.
I have no idea if that's the actual name.
Yeah. What's funny is I worked at a home improvement store for a little bit, and I do remember specifically someone was going to make their own bidet, and they were getting parts together, and they had a sprayer for one of those to kind of build their own bidet. So, there was something else I was going to mention too.
No, but there's definitely been a lot of things that have changed over time with plumbing, and I always feel like I'm somebody who likes technology and I like history, and I like the history of technology, but it's not. When I say that, I don't just mean like the newest cell phone or the newest laptop or a flat screen TV. there's a lot of technology that just goes into the fact that we can have fresh water in our houses and a flushing toilet or a working bath or shower.
Right.
It's interesting. I mean, I feel like we built some big works projects in the past, and isn't it like New York City just recently is switched over to like a new aquifer, like a new water main.
Oh.
But it's like huge, and I think they've been working on it for like 40 or 50 years. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I thought it was called like the NYC Big Dig or something.
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, I think it's been going on for a long time.
Nice. That'd be interesting. That's and that's what to improve their plumbing system or like their the sewer system.
Oh, you know what? I might be thinking of something else, because now that I write that Big Dig, it says the Central Tunnel Project, commonly known as the Big Dig, was a mega project in Boston that rerouted the central artery of Interstate 93. Okay, no, I'm thinking about something else.
Okay.
But that's something that actually started in '82 and ended in 2003. But I feel like there was something in New York where there was a huge water main that they were using something that was still like 100 years old, and they needed to replace it. I know that I used to live in Chicago for a while, and we had an old wooden water pipe downtown explode during a like a snowstorm. And when I heard this on the news, I thought, wooden water pipe. And then they started saying how old it was and everything else, and how it was all reinforced and that it just hadn't given out yet. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, if I take a drink from a drinking fountain in an office building, that might be coming from a wooden water pipe. That is so gross.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. And I don't know. I wonder how many of those systems are still out there in this country, because it's expensive and it's a lot of work to like redo, plumbing and sewer systems.
Well, they were talking about, back at the turn of the century, from the 1800s to the 1900s, I should say, since we're in the 2000s, Detroit was one of the biggest cities in the country. And, Detroit recently is coming back, but there was a period there where it was bad, and a lot of people were just moving out. And the issue was there were so many vacant homes and buildings that they had an infrastructure problem, because they had built this massive infrastructure to support a certain size population. And then when the population decreased, I mean, what are the choices? Either maintain this massive infrastructure of all these water pipes and everything else and sewer, or build a new one. But then if you build a new one, do you remove the old one? So for a while, since Detroit didn't have very much money, they just tried to maintain and repair the current system, which was very expensive because it was a large system, but there wasn't as many people there. Nowadays, I hear it's coming back, but for a while they had issues because they have leaks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and the system was just so big. It was just, if it was a busy place like Chicago or New York, they'd probably hire more people, and they'd have more people because they've got more taxes being paid and things like that. But that's not what was going on there.
yeah. Okay. So and then another thing with that is I briefly saw this small documentary on NPR of a gentleman who was going to explore like the sewer systems in New York, and I didn't get through this whole thing only because I was sidetracked, because there was also on his journey down to the systems, there was actually someone else doing research about people who have like kind of homeless people who have like started making residence or living down in the sewers.
Oh, really? In New York?
Yeah. So there was a writer who they came upon, and she was camped out down there, kind of doing research for her own project. But that's something else that I uh, still find interesting is I used to tell some of my friends that I wanted to like explore the sewers, only because like I mean you look at like if you go in the city and you like look at our roads, I mean our sewers are like just right underneath us, like the road is built on top of that,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like an entire, you know, separate place, like it's huge down there. So
I always find that interesting because if you're just in a city and you're walking along the sidewalk, how many layers are beneath you?
yeah, yeah,
Because it could be sewer and water, and then electrical and
right,
communication, and then sometimes these large like high rises are joined by an under road
yeah, yep.
walkway or
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty. Yeah. There's way more than meets the eye when you're just looking at the city. It doesn't even have to be a big city because it's still like that in some like suburban areas, and you know that's how our sewer system is laid out.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I know that took us down a couple roads, but all of that I just started thinking about in my whole journey
Just
on
when we're going to the
appreciating
grocery store.
and our whole journey to appreciate bathrooms. And you know, like I'm just thankful that it's evolved that much, and that that gentleman who was in the bathroom making a big stink, it wasn't like, you know, on my way into the grocery store, like, you know, that's something I had to see. He
Sure.
dropping the deuce on the curb.
No, I find, I find this technology interesting. I mean, Bill Gates from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Okay. Him and I guess now his ex-wife have a foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they've charitied many things, but their organization is large enough that they're not like taking like small swipes at things. They're not like, here's some food and blankets. They're like, here's a country that is impoverished, and what do they need not to be like that? Like, how about clean water? How about a working sewer system? But a lot of times, like we were talking about before, that can be very expensive. So they had a big competition, like how to make a working toilet and sewer system in these countries, something that didn't require a large payout for infrastructure. And so there was looks at like composting toilets and toilets that would just like disintegrate waste, or even like toilets that would store waste, but then you could bring it to a plant and the plant would incinerate it or vaporize it with like I think one of them was using like plasma gasification and things like that. But it was very interesting.
Yeah.
I like his look on things, where a lot of times he'll talk about like, you can give them food and things like that, but eradicating disease and giving them cheap and reliable power is a way to start building an infrastructure that then they can build on top of. And it's like the whole phrase of give a man a fish, he eats for a day,
right.
but teach a man to fish, he eats for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, there was a huge contest years ago about making a toilet that they could have used in some of these countries.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, because I mean, you think about that too. That there are still areas in this world that don't have the same plumbing systems, or kind of updated plumbing systems, and not to sound like they're not happy and satisfied, and that there's other places that are doing well, even if plumbing systems are different than in the U.S. But
Right.
it's all still in an effort to kind of combat disease and just keep people healthy and all that.
Yeah, it really is a large part of society dealing with not only like making sure we all have clean water, but also that that our waste is dealt with correctly, because a lot of the plagues of the past has to be because we weren't dealing with it correctly.
Right.
Which is where I feel like the Romans and those people, they got it right. Now they got a lot of things wrong too.
Oh yeah.
Like
I mean,
like using lead as a sweetener.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there was, millions of deaths due to that. lead pipes.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, we've definitely come a long way, and we still have some ways to go. But it's good to see that there are other, people and like other areas of the world who are making those strides. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful that that's one more convenience for me. And not to sound too privileged, but I
Yeah.
appreciate my toilet paper,
Yeah.
and my flushable toilet,
Yeah.
and my bathroom with walls,
Sure. Sure.
and a
And
door.
maybe a
Yeah,
fan.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No, I can understand that,
yeah.
and I'll tell you, I'm the type of person that likes to do a lot of my own work on my home,
Mhm.
and even in just my lifetime, I remember when I was younger, I would help like my grandfather or even my dad like fix stuff up around the house, and when I bought this place, I still had a lot of those life lessons from when I was younger.
Mhm.
Then I was thinking, well, I need to run water over here, or I need to do this. That's no problem. I know how to do that.
Mhm.
But the thing is like when I actually went to like a home improvement store to buy some of the things that I thought I needed, I started talking to people there, and I'm like, yeah, well, I need some copper pipe because I need to do this, and then I need this to be a T, and I need some flux, and I think I need like another propane tank for my blowtorch.
Mhm.
And then he's like, wait, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I need to run water from over here to over there, so I need to splice in. And he's like, no. Okay. First of all, you don't want to buy copper.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do you want to buy copper? And he's like, well, one, it's expensive, and two, it's not the best technology we have.
Mhm.
He's like, you need to use PEX.
Yeah.
And he starts explaining how PEX is easier to work with, and that it's harder to get a burst pipe from freezing and stuff because it can stretch a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, how do I got copper pipes in my house because I got an older house. How do I join that in? And he was like, okay, you don't need to do all this soldering and flux and blowtorch stuff. He's like, look, this is called a shark bite. Have you
Yeah.
seen these
Yeah.
things?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm like, wait a second. But I got copper on one side and PEX on the other. He's like, yep, no problem. It just snaps in.
Yeah.
And so I've done several things around here, and I just thought, oh my God, it's so much better than it
Yeah.
was before.
Yeah.
For all those haters that say they don't build them like they used to,
Yeah.
you're right. They make them way
Yeah.
better now.
Yeah.
Way
True.
better.
Yeah. Yeah. That shark bite stuff is pretty impressive. Because you can easily tie in from copper to new material. I mean, if you want to continue with copper, you can still use the shark bite fitting, so you don't have to do
Yeah.
any soldering. But yeah, it makes it easy to start to transition to new stuff.
Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 lines in this house. Like I added a underground sprinkling system, and I needed to add a line for that. And then I had a leak on one of my exterior faucets, and I had to replace that. So I cut out the bad stuff and put PEX in.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a couple spots where I had to run the PEX through some joints, and so I had to use a just like couplers with like I don't even know what they call it, like a PEX. It's like a hose clamp, but it's just for
Oh,
PEX,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you got the special tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I did that, but anytime I have to join it into the existing copper that's already in the house, I even though it's more expensive, I just go get the shark
Yeah.
bite. Okay, so the fitting would normally cost 59 cents, and I spent $8, but hey, man, the whole thing is over in like 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and then I can go back to doing whatever I was doing.
Yeah. 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 You're right. The technology definitely has come a long way, and it's very useful. It's and it's easy. It's easy to learn. People are always gonna complain about the price a little bit.
Sure, it's convenience.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not going to be free. It's not going to be the same price as the copper. But yeah, it's I've used some of it before, and it definitely is a huge time saver.
Yeah.
So,
Are you guys doing any updates on your house?
yeah, we're going to be doing some this upcoming spring. Hopefully, none of it's with that. Like, I don't think we have to do any any plumbing, maybe some electrical work.
I thought your fiance said something about maybe a bathroom in the basement or something.
Well, we have a bathroom there.
Okay, maybe upgrading that one then.
Yeah, maybe upgrading that, and then we're probably going to add a room.
Okay.
But just a regular bedroom. So, but yeah, we'll do some of that. But yeah, and then we did have to do a few updates. We had a small problem with the downstairs bathroom recently, but that's all been fixed. So, so we're looking good there.
Have you seen and just because anything I've got to do, I tend to research a lot online, and like I live in an older house, and I was saying there's copper pipes, but a lot of it is the old school way of if you need water, you take basically water from like the main run in the house, and for this house it comes from a well that I have, and then from there it kind of goes to the first place that needs water, and then it piggybacks off of there and then goes to the next place. I mean, it's not all like that. There's a little bit of going to the center of the house and then sprawling out, but there's a lot of like going from like a bathroom sink and then going to a faucet that goes outside and things like that. And I've always just thought like the problem with that is if I have any issues, I have to shut down basically the whole house and then drain it and then remove the problem and then patch it and then turn it all back on. But have you heard of these, and I believe they're called PEX manifolds?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I just think this whole idea is interesting, and I feel like if I had a new house, I would do this, where the main line would come into a manifold, and then every place would have a straight run from there. And so if I had a leak in the bathroom, it's going upstairs, I just turn off the bathroom.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's a circuit breaker for your house.
Yes,
I mean, I don't shut the power off to my entire house if I've got to work on an outlet.
Yeah.
I just turn it off to the room,
Right, right, yeah.
I've heard some people say that the problem is that if, let's say you want hot water, and let's say your hot water heater is in the basement, and if you had like 2 bathrooms upstairs, if somebody was using one of them and you plumbed it the old way, then it would be faster for you to get hot water in the second one. But since they're all home runs all the way back to the manifold, the issue is then you're waiting that entire time for water to be pumped all the way, maybe from the basement through the first floor to the second floor. So that can be a little, so there's pluses and minuses. But in my head, I just love the idea of being able to go off and just shut down just what I want.
That is nice. Because like you said, making the relation to electrical, so when you just have to cut the breaker to one room, like that is very I would like to learn more about that and see that, because I have heard about that, but that's a big plus.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a scenario where I've done a little bit of research and I've looked at some of these technologies and I thought to myself, this is how I would do it if I did it. But the same way that like my grandfather and dad taught me certain things when I was younger, and then when it came time for me to do things here, I went to the store with an idea and I thought I knew what I was doing. And then the guy's like, no, that's not how you do that. You do it like this. And I was like, oh. So I'm sure in like, I don't know, 10 years or whatever, I'll go to build a house, and the plumbing company or whatever that is hired will go, no, nobody does it that way anymore. There's this new thing. And I would be like, oh, okay.
All right, well, listen, this was a very engaging and interesting conversation. Some of that stuff I'm going to want to...
About John Crapper?
Yeah. And
no, it was Thomas Crapper.
It was Thomas Crapper? Oh, yeah, sorry, it was the John, right.
Yeah, and the other guy was named John.
Yeah. And I might start saying that. I think I'm going to bring that back. I'm going to start talking.
You're going to bring that back? What about nautical terms like the head?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too.
Yeah, going to the head.
Yeah, I'll say that at work.
I don't know. Yeah, that's probably not HR friendly.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, let me know what you guys think in the comments on some of these plumbing terms. and feel free to share any stories, even if they get a little bit graphic. Just try to keep it to a minimum. But
Well, we're not showing any
you
video of you in the bathroom or
Oh
anything.
yeah, no. But you can just let me know if you had the same experience I did going to a grocery store, or anytime somebody had a blow up the
Or
bathroom.
Taco Bell
Yeah,
or
yeah, maybe they
wherever people are blowing it up.
Maybe they shut it down for a few hours. So, all right.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep.